right, let's get this started. Yes, hello, hi, welcome to the hour. Yes, applause for yourselves for being here. Finding your way through Cuts traffic. We're dealing with second, fourth summer, whatever it is that's happening out there. I admit that as we were starting to set up, I was like, should we do it in the garden? And then I was like, that's a lot of work, and I don't have the right lighting for it, but welcome. All right. I want to start by acknowledging that this event is being hosted on the unceded traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. Many other tribes, such as the Miami, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Sauk, and Fox, also called this area home. The region has long been a center for Indigenous people to gather, trade, and maintain kinship ties. Today, one of the largest urban American Indian communities in the United States resides right here in Chicago, continuing to contribute to the vitality of this city and to celebrate their heritage, practice traditions, and care for the land and waterways. We invite you to explore these unceded homelands, as well as those of you watching at home, to explore those on which you find yourselves, and to take this moment to honor all who came before us, the Indigenous peoples displaced by colonization, as well as those who built this country through uncompensated and compulsory labor, those enslaved and those oppressed. We honor all who came before and all who continue to live on this land as we hold shared space for art and expression. So this is the Blue Hour, which is run by the Chicago Poetry Center. At CPC, we believe that poetry illuminates our individual and shared humanity, fueling thriving lives and healthy communities. Our mission is to connect people and poetry, equitably engage poets with communities, and foster creative literacy in the city and beyond. There's lots of information about our various programs, including the free resource for 2nd to 5th graders, Queen Z's Poetic Adventures, our residency programs, critical conversations at work, anti-racism, and other programs right at the back table. Our reading series schedule, so we're the 3rd Wednesday of each month. We are right here at Haymarket House, except for December, for maybe obvious reasons. We need a break. In October 18th, we'll have Kenyatta Rogers and Marcy Ray Henry. November 15th, Jason Bayani and Jacob Sens. January 17th, we'll have Teresa Zieglowitz and Jackie Germain. February, S. Yarberry, and, it says TBD, but I know we booked somebody. I can't. Sully, Dan Sully Sullivan. Yes, excitingly. This Monday, throughout the summer, every Monday, we have had an open mic and featured reader performance in the West Loop. The very last one is this coming Monday, so check that out. Okay, those are all my logistical announcement things. Except for the fact that we encourage you all to self-care throughout this process. Poetry induces feelings, so take care of yourself. If you need to get up and stretch or use the restroom or get some water, please feel free to do so with respect to the folks who are on the microphone. Okay, so I have a very full, strange, fruity, durian looking thing. I'm going to pull 5 names, and each of these folks will read 1 poem or 3 minutes, whichever comes first. Let's see. Let's start off with Regina Bird.
For you who hear voices in the unanswerable silence. If anyone tells you that mourning should be sedated at sorrow, that you should fold your grief small and pocket it like tattered tissue, if they tell you it is best to sequester your wounds, which is to say, let them fester delicately unseen, your lips thin with silence, for the sake of those who pour salve and salt, If anyone tells you not to read poems in public that strip your skin to bare bone of your bone broken, tell them every heart breaks along its own fault. If anyone tells you to write about the joy that was, to hold fast to its memory, tell them that joy is pocked with shadow. Tell them how the memory of a finger's cool trail across the curve of your brow is razored with want. Tell them there is ever bleeding beneath the skin. Tell them how years collapse in a single second. And again, you are stone within quaking flesh, hands wandering from cheek to eye to arm, seeking to warm that cannot be warmed. Tell them how your pillows are salted while you sleep. Tell them your path winds a mountain of ending, overlooking this desolation. Tell them it becomes a familiar darkness that still catches you by the throat. Tell them who have not lost to walk softly as they leave.
Told you poems make feelings. All right, we're in it now. All right. Next up, give it up for Maria. Maria Requena?
I don't know why I'm like this, but here we go. This is called Pebbles. I don't want to have a rock. I want pebbles. I want small pebbles and medium pebbles and round pebbles and rectangle pebbles and blue pebbles and pink pebbles and pebbles so indescribable you have to simply hold them and feel their sharp edges and smooth crevices in your hands to even begin to discern their color and weight. I don't want to have a rock. I want pebbles. Pebbles joined in their singularity and community, padded into the gravelly ground with just enough looseness you can feel them with your steps, but it's not so bad that you stop walking. I don't want to have a rock. I want pebbles. Pebbles that divert in different directions, giving me options to places to go and things to discover, paths untraveled and well known. I don't want to have a rock. I want pebbles. Rocks anchor you, keep you, steady you. Rocks pin you to the ground. This is only nice sometimes, but mostly makes me feel trapped. I don't want to have a rock. I want pebbles. Pebbles that let me explore every single twist and let me wander down every darkened corner and every light-filled valley. And when I'm ready to settle, I want to be a pebble, to just sit amongst the others and serve them as they've served me. I don't want to have a rock. I want pebbles.
Thank you, Maria. All right, next up on the open mic, we have Michael Sun. Michael Sun. Applause till he gets here. Oh, he's doing rap. Gonna get extra applause this night. All right.
This poem's called Oh My Heart. I am on time to every party. I walk or I sprint. I eat to finish. Harmony's food or 6 servings of honey mustard pretzels. I do everything like I mean it. Snacks, dishes, therapy. My therapist tells me I'm trying too hard to be a good patient. But then who else will be? I wish her a better day than mine. I sit alone at the department of guilt and grieving and remember what to feel sorry for, sad about, ashamed of, so that everyone else could take a day off. That's a lie. I created the department and didn't hire anyone. I just wanted to sit in the calamities of the world and feel responsible. Oh, the God of feeling a lot. I tried to keep a calendar of every loss, every tragedy, The day I told R that she had cancer, but I couldn't keep up. On the day I told R that she had cancer, I asked her, "Do you have any questions? Is there anything I can do for you?" There were none, was nothing. I feel bad about the calendar. I just want to help people. Really, I'm that boring. Ask me for dinner and I serve my heart shaved thin and crispy with butter and garlic. M's heart stops and I pump. I break as many ribs to keep her alive. I've been told to give less and I want to refuse, but I do scab. I burn the day in bed, tired from being this tender. Who cares? M dies. I hold M's daughter as I take the last bit of hope from her. She thanks me, tells me to take care, to go home. I pick my scabs off, oozing. I won't help it. I bleed with all my heart.
Oh. Just a big durian of feelings here. Okay. I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe it was a porcupine, but somebody told me it's a durian, which is a kind of fruit.
They're very smelly.
Very
You're
smelly.
not allowed to cut them in public.
Oh,
Look
I
it up.
learned 2 things today.
Well,
It's a good day for me. Audre Mejia.
Thank you, everyone. Queer things grow out of incinerated earth. We call it the rough patch. The barren blast of what used to be a great lake, a long sigh scattering ash into scaled spirits swimming in a grave where children hatch. The children dream of a forest filled with strange fruit. They dream so long they could be anything. A wound to tend or salt, fingers to grab. The dream is the thing that clasps a forming hand to a single flaming star in a dream sky. Queer things grow out of soil, the dead cloud. It is night, the sun is blasting out. Mama dug her claw into the earth and plucked sister from the deep. Believe, Mama said, in the seed. The seed is what survives the blast. Surviving seeds dream a language. Mama, sister, and I whisper from coral lips beneath the blistering mango trees. If mangoes, I breathed to Mama and sister, had hands to dream, they would light this earth on fire. Nodes of basil, green crystal, fire opal, silica are turning to flesh and bone and muscle. Snow has settled on the frozen patch. Heaven, as I know it, has folded closer to us into a thin place. It is what has made something out of my nothingness, says sister. She herself a volcanic stone fissure. Mother never told me we had been nothing before this, before she dreamt a finger to dig deep into soil. Before is a sister word I close my eyes to. Some words I pluck from the air and hold in a rusted fist. Legs rooted, mangroved at the bank of the Great Lake, mother and sister bear fruit as I open my palm to after.
Feelings. I'm just gonna shake my feelings into this pool. Okay. Last poet in the open mic will be. Oh, I need a drum for the drum roll. Azam. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My poem is also about mango trees.
Yes.
The odds of that happening are very high. My poem's very short, so I'm gonna give some quick story. I grew up in Pakistan, and I moved here later in life. I got to go back last year, and the neighborhood I grew up in, there was a mango tree, and it would hang over this guy's house, and all the kids and I, we would whip stones at it to get the fruit to fall down, and he eventually got wise to it, and he would come out and sit with the slipper to make us slip it. But we still wanted mango, so when he went back into the house, we would drive up on little bicycles, and we had a little getaway system, and one guy would be on the bike, and the other guy would hop on whipping stones and dropping mangoes. This was when I was a kid. When I went back last year, they had torn it down and built apartment complexes. So, this is the mango tree. In the graveyards and its sparrows, the kids walk through from school, and I look at the tombstones written in my own language. And the joy of the sweat, the yelling and crying in the street was as it had always been. It lives forever here, while I built something called life. When I returned, it was here. I was mean, and the earth and the love was as forgiving as they had always been. When the sun came up, we drank, we sat together, and I thought I knew where light came from. I thought home was made of broken ghosts, that going back meant grieving. It meant among the roads leading to Rome, only some were meant to take me home. I thought when I returned, the poet in me would rejoice and yell to these streets my return. But I was limp, and all my youth was there, all at once, broken and present like me. The mango tree was gone. We built other things. The sound of our thievery rang. Why did I go? There were no answers, only that my memories broke after I left, and the neighborhood grew up.
Awesome. Can we get a quick round of applause for all the poets? Including that all the poems we didn't get to hear, because they're still in the durian, but they are with us in spirit. Everyone's like, yeah, I didn't get to read. I don't want my poem. Come back next month. I'm super excited for our featured readers tonight. Those of you who've come to these in the past or watched on the live stream have heard me say many times that because of the way we book this out, I'm not able to sort of have a really specific algorithm about, like, oh, I think these two. So I'm just sort of like asking people when they're passing through or hearing from people that they're passing through. And yet every time I'm like, this combination, this combination is magic. Because it is, it's amazing. Because I give up control of the universe, and that's when good things happen. All that stuff. That's my lesson for today. But I was thinking about Cynthia and Courtney and their work together, and I was thinking about how, like, these two poets, they look at grief and they see love, and they look at love and they see grief, but also dancing and also survival, and they refuse to look away from what it costs us to endure, to keep going. They let it all in, right? And in doing so, they invite us to let it all in and to survive. So I'm super excited to have these folks with us today. I didn't tell them what order they're reading because I don't know, because I have pudding for a brain today, but I think we're gonna maybe hear from Courtney first, and then we'll hear from Cynthia. So here's Courtney's official bio. Courtney LeBlanc is the author of the full-length collections Her Whole Bright Life, winner of the Jack McCarthy Book Prize, Jack, from Write Bloody 2023, Exquisite Bloody Beating Heart from Riot in Your Throat from 2021, and Beautiful and Full of Monsters, Virginia Press 2020. She's a Virginia Center for Creative Arts Fellow and the founder and editor-in-chief of Riot in Your Throat, an independent poetry press. She loves nail polish, tattoos, and a soy latte each morning. Please join me in welcoming to the stage, Courtney LeBlanc.
Thank you. Hope you can hear me. I like to use my hands, so I don't want to hit the mic.
I am nationally touring poet. I'm on my book tour right now. My first 2 books came out during the pandemic. So with this 3rd book, I am going big and hard. I have 50 readings this year in 17 states. So I'm really excited to be here in Chicago. I live in Arlington, Virginia. For those bad at geography, that is the northern part of the state, just across the river from Washington, D.C. 5 miles from my front door to the White House front door. So it's a fun place to be sometimes. But I grew up on a farm in North Dakota. And so when I usually read this poem, I have to explain to people what a North Dakota winter is like. But you all live in Chicago. So you understand terrible wind, a lot of snow, and negative temperatures. I don't need to do the prep this time. You ain't shit, North Dakota. You're all snow and flat and forever horizon. You fly over state. You MAGA hat Fox News junkie. The year I left, it snowed on June 1st. June 1st, you motherfucker. Can't bury the dead in a North Dakota winter unless you bonfire first. My 18th birthday brought a storm that shut down a state that knows how to deal with snow. North Dakota laughed at chains on tires, laughed at the fools who tried to leave their neighborhoods. My father cleared the driveway with a snowblower, and North Dakota punked him and dropped another 8 inches, as if his work was ever done. And now he's dying. You did this to him, North Dakota. You broke him. His whole life spent nurturing you, feeding the world with the wheat he grew in your rich soil. He never touched the black tar of long-dead dinosaurs that sits beneath you, never mind the millions it could bring. What do? You give him thunder snow. You withhold the northern lights that have, on rare occasion, pirouetted across the sky like a bright green ballerina. I saw them once, had to pull over to gape. But my father has never seen them, and now his eyesight is failing. His hands shake. He's always cold. His one functioning kidney is stuttering to a stop. It'll drag all the other organs down with it. It won't take long, but his doctor has promised she'll make it painless. If he dies this winter, I'll cut down every tree in every forest across you, North Dakota. I'll build a fire big enough to see from space. Let the astronauts think it's the northern lights. Let everyone think the world is ending. Because for me, part of it will. I'm reading tonight mostly from my new book, Her Whole Bright Life. The collection has 2 main themes, my father's death and my disordered eating, so it's very uplifting. You're welcome. No, please take that as a content warning. Please take care of yourselves. If you need to step away, I won't be upset at all. This next poem is titled, I Don't Eat After 8 p.m. I once read you shouldn't eat after 8 p.m. if you want to lose weight, and I, a woman who hated her body for a decade, always wanted less to hate. The week my dad died, I ate my mother's pretzel dessert with a spoon, pan held beneath my chin like a trough, the salty-sweet combination filling my belly with calories I couldn't begin to count. I ran 7 miles each morning, the flat stretching before me unbroken. My father lay quiet, first in the hospital, then in the living room, no longer consuming anything, his small frame dark against the pale sheet. When I came inside, sweat slick and panting, I kissed his face, told him about my run, the flowers blooming in the ditch, the blue sheet of sky. That night, after my mother had finally gone to bed, I sat in the chair and pulled to my father's bedside and ate a cloud of carbs, the homemade bread my mother baked and I grew up on. I slathered on a layer of butter, licked the melted gold from my fingertips, told him in between bites that I loved him. Sorry about that, I get very parched. My dad died early in the pandemic. Not pandemic related, just that was the timing. But I was able to fly back to North Dakota and help care for him in the last week of his life. And everyone was still baking bread. We were at that phase of the pandemic. So when I went to North Dakota, I asked my mom for her bread recipe. It's the bread I grew up on. It was my grandmother's recipe. And that's when I learned it has a secret ingredient, and it's Crisco, which is why it's so fucking delicious, and also terrible. Needless to say, I've not made the recipe, but also I kill the yeast every time I make bread, so I've just learned to support my local bakery. When my therapist asks how I'm doing, I talk about the election, my father's death, my friend's brain tumor. I don't tell her about my 2.5-hour workout that morning, how I wouldn't stop until I burned 1,000 calories. I don't tell her of my daily ritual of stripping down, exhaling every ounce of breath before stepping onto the scale. How if there's a hair tie around my wrist, it must be removed and the ritual repeated. I don't tell her I know the calories in my morning coffee, 102, or my yogurt and granola, 170, or that I fear growing into my mother's body. I spent a decade eating nothing more than an apple and 2 rice cakes between the hours of 8 and 4. When I gave up that slow march toward a hungry death, I thought I'd be normal. But what is normal if not tracking every bite of broccoli? If not knowing the calories in a single baby carrot? I don't tell her because I like when my clavicles arch out from my chest, when my hip bones jut forward like handlebars. I don't tell her because I don't want to talk about what ended 15 years ago, even if its fingerprints remain permanently etched on me. Instead, I talk about the daily hikes with my dogs, my friend's chemo routine, the new meditation app I downloaded. The session ends and I scoop up the Rumple Kleenex and drop them in the garbage. There's a bowl of leftover Halloween candy near the exit. I dig for a Snickers, pop the bite-sized chocolate into my mouth and make it last until I reach my car. This time, I don't record it. This time, I regret not taking 2. We're gonna take a break from the Dead Dad poems, so I don't overwhelm you. I'll read a couple of potentially lighter poems. That's probably not a true statement. This poem is titled, "Would You Ever Get Your Spouse's Name Tattooed?" A question posted on Twitter. We've been separated for 6 months, and you've been dating someone for 2 months when you called to tell me my name now graced your bicep. I looked around the kitchen that was now only mine, the fridge with the broken handle, the stove with only 3 working burners. We're not getting back together, I finally said. It's a testament, you corrected, to the years we spent together. I was wife number 2, and you tell me your first wife's name was inked onto your other bicep. But where will you put your third wife's name, I quipped? I'll never marry again, you insisted. Years later, I will spend hours getting my entire left arm tattooed, a delicate sleeve that my second husband does not like. He cannot comprehend how they make me feel beautiful. I waited 7 years to remarry, uncertain I wanted to do it again, uncertain I could. You remarried 7 months after our divorce was finalized. I don't know where her name resides. I am a firm believer in do what you want with your own body, but I do judge you a little bit if you get your ex-wife's name tattooed after your heart. Just saying, just saying. It was mentioned in my bio, I'm a Virginia Center for the Creative Arts Fellow, which means I got to spend 11 days in residency at a place that made all my food for me, 3 delicious meals a day, and I got to do whatever I wanted. And I have written all these Amy Winehouse poems, so I decided I was going to make this little hand-bound micro-chap of Amy Winehouse poems. I hand-tore the pages. It's 18 pages long, plus the cover. That's 20 pages. I made 100 copies. That's 2,000 pages for those bad at math. That I hand-tore, and hand-punched, and hand-bound, because I learned Japanese bookbinding. They were a lot of fun. My hands also really hurt by the end. But I'm gonna read you a poem. In fact, I have them here tonight. They're $5. They're just this fun little thing I have on tour. This is an Abecedarian. Most poets in the room probably know an Abecedarian is a form where it's 26 lines long. Each line starts with a letter of the alphabet, usually starting with A. The hard letters, X and Z. So, if I do it right, you won't even notice. You'll probably notice. Abecedarian for Amy Winehouse. Amy, how many poems do I have to write? How many times were you branded drunk, disorderly, fool? You were only love-struck, colliding with the man who made things worse. Drugs, of course, but his love was the habit you couldn't evade. You tried. He went to jail and you served him divorce papers. Finally severed the attachment. But he'd already sold your story to Inquirer and Globe and anyone who'd pay. Already hawked every juicy detail to whoever flashed money. I know what it's like to love something destructive. Just look at my past, the ex I was better off without. Kindred spirits, you and I. You wrote songs, I write poems. But I learned to stay away, forced my hand to put down the phone, make plans, strike him from my heart. No one said it would be easy, but Amy, you could have done it. Oh, I know you were alone when you took your last breath. I can't put all the blame on him, but maybe without him, you would have quit the drugs and the drinking. Maybe without him, you would have gone to rehab. Maybe the next album would be filled with intense songs about a new love, a new life, a new emotion that didn't border on tragic. But I can't bring back the dead, can't undo the past. You're gone and your music lives. Your voice still provides the outlet my heart needs. Without your words, it would have been hard to sign my name on the X of my divorce papers. I would have drowned myself in a bottle of wine, yelled into the night, hoped for a quiet end. Instead, I found a new zeal for life. I still listen to your music. It just doesn't make me cry anymore. I just have two more poems for you, and I'm reading this one because my friend Quinn is in the crowd. Quinn and I met in an online workshop, and at some point they made this statement that says we can pick what we fear, we can choose our anxiety, and that prompted this poem. And when I was in Boston recently reading, I was in a bookstore and Stephen King walked in. And that's important when I read this poem, and I'm not going to tell you why. It's called The Usual Things. Quinn says we can pick the thing we fear, choose our anxiety. Our brains are going to focus on something, so we may as well choose which direction it goes. I think of the 8-foot-tall animatronic clown that stands by the gas station closest to my house. Its white skin and red hair, the sharpened teeth, and the way its arms and head move jerkily from side to side. I stare at it as I wait for the light to change, always look away when its head swivels in my direction. I've never seen the movie. The previews alone were enough to make me tug my dog's leash when she moves too close to the storm drain. I know this is where evil lurks, even in my nice neighborhood. And the exorcist stairs, the one the priest was thrown down, those are less than 5 miles from my house. I run up them. There are 75 steps, and they're steep. It's another movie I haven't watched. The scene where the little girl spider walks down the stairs backwards is enough to give me nightmares for weeks. But maybe now is the time to watch them, to give myself something otherworldly to fear. Because it's the eve of the election, and a close friend has a brain tumor, and it's been 2 months since my dad died. All of these things crowd my brain and fight for attention, the anxiety and fear climbing each day. So maybe I should watch the scary movies. That evil clown with the razor teeth, the girl with a spinning head, the boogeyman in the closet. Everything will still be there when we turn the lights on, after the popcorn is eaten and the credits roll. But maybe that night I'll worry only about the storm drain. I'll check under the bed and behind the curtains. I'll go to bed haunted, but not by the usual things. Final poem for you. This is where the collection gets its title. I was born in '79. I have a sister who's 8 or 9 years older than I am. And she used to record movies from Showtime onto VHS. Some of you know what that is. Some of you might not. But then my younger sister and I would watch them, which meant we watched a lot of movies that weren't exactly age appropriate. But they hold a special place in our heart because I identify with them so much, and this poem is about one of those movies. It's titled, "The Night My Father Died, We Made My Brother-in-Law Watch Dirty Dancing." Because the whole week was exhausting. None of us slept, our eyes swollen from crying. My throat was so sore, I worried it was strep. When the strep test came back negative, I worried it was COVID. The hospital bed still sat in the corner with medical supplies stacked beside it. The neighbors kept bringing over food, and so we grief ate. That morning, I woke at 3:45 a.m. to give my dad his dose of morphine. I found my mom asleep in the recliner, and when I woke her, she said, I couldn't hear him breathing from the bedroom. I sent her to bed, tucked the syringe into my dad's cheek, and pushed the plunger slowly, the morphine absorbing because he could no longer swallow. I stayed up until 5 a.m., dozed until 6:30 when my mom woke and took over so I could go for a run. Because it's hard to cry while running. And when my dad's brothers and sister arrived, I greeted them in the driveway, the day cruelly bright and beautiful. It took his brothers 3 tries to make it into the house, 3 tries to say goodbye. My aunt called my sister by the wrong name, but none of us corrected her. And then my dad's best friend showed up. It took him 30 minutes and 4 cigarettes to gain the courage to hold his hand. And when my dad took his last breath, we didn't realize for a moment he was gone. But no inhale followed, and I couldn't find a pulse. I kept my fingers on his wrist, hoping to feel the tiny blip, but it didn't come. And so that night, my sister and my mother and I watched a movie we'd seen a dozen times. We sang along to the soundtrack and laughed when Jim didn't know the plot. We needed nostalgia and distraction and a happy ending. We needed Baby up on that stage, her whole bright life ahead of her.
One more round of applause for Courtney LeBlanc. Deep inhale, deep exhale. All right. So excited to bring up to the stage Cynthia Manick. Cynthia Manick is the author of No Sweet Without Brian, Stab 2023. Both of their books are on sale in the back, so immediately following, rush back, there's always a line, which received 5 stars from Roxanne Gay. Maybe you've heard of that person. Editor of the Future of Black Afrofuturism, Black Comics, and Superhero Poetry, and the author of Blue Hallelujahs. She has received fellowships from Cave Canem, Hedgebrook, McDowell, and Chateau de la Pool. Sure. A storyteller at literary festivals, libraries, universities, and most recently, the Brooklyn, Fry, and Rubin Museums. Manick's work has been featured in the Manick's work has been featured in the Academy of American Poets Poem a Day series, Brooklyn Rail, The Rumpus, and other outlets. She lives in Brooklyn, New York, but travels widely for poetry, including to here. Please welcome Cynthia Manick.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me. How's my audio? Am I good?
Good.
Okay. Product placement, I apologize. Thank you, Marty, for having me. Yeah. Let's get to know each other. I'm going to start with a self-portrait poem. My book came out in April, so she's still a baby. And self-portrait poems, I love them because I think we change every hour, every day, every lifetime. Self-portrait number 5, Phoenix and Lullabies. Some people think I was born savage, biting at hands, clouds, and badgers, with no softness to be found, but I contain whispers. Bright coral beads stacked, the language of blood jostling against itself. Coconut oil, curves molded by my mother's thumb, broad bones, and something wild. Sometimes I'm a brown-bellied songbird who knows the tongue can be in land, not be in the hot arc-ache in someone's back when the TV's on. Or it can be a pistol. It covers all my bristle barbs, blue and yellow howls, in the ragdoll heart, where I shook off my father's baritone the day he left. I turned Brine Lake. That never stirs the same way twice. Salty assholes and smiles. It's not a lie to say that I'm still learning to love the frames of undressed trees. My glasses, the Medusa hair that defies every cone, red pomegranates. My baby self, the little girl inside who still craves model trains, Josie and the Pussycats cartoons, and wonders about the spaces between the teeth and the ribs. So during the pandemic, or the first year, I was too busy pandemicking. New Yorkers, we party hard, we pandemic hard, we yoga hard, we Zoom happy hour hard. Okay, during the second year, I was like, well, you know what? Let's think about how, as artists, how do we respond? How do we live within current events? This poem is called Litany for My Fears after Audre Lorde. For those of us getting used to writing poems for the dead, for rainbows without a streak of black, for Cabrera daisies that wilt quickly, for silence so quiet you tilt like Earth's axis, like that day in September when the phones rang and rang and rang, and you learn that charwood is stronger than most barks. Does love taste like sweetgrass? Can I be mad as love as sweetgrass? Does this jump in the blood mean I'm having a heart attack, a heartbreak, or a heart's fray between dawns? Can a mouth be starved for the sun? How many fibroids is too many? Can I take 3 leaves instead of 2? Those of us expected to beautify what's hemmed in, made us numbers in our zip codes, questions on God, particles, boredoms, the town crier, our mothers, glued to the phone to relay names of the sick. They fall like M-dashes or brittle teeth. When will scientists name this new emotion? Is it wrong to want a storm named after you? Can a Ethereum phone call be good news? News so jubilant that our lungs expound 6 liters of air. Let this be the last time we mourn, or dream of beasts, or a beach full of 100 brown turtles retracted in their shells. Are we okay? You know these moments when you realize your parents were human before they had you? You used to get, I'm like, oh, I used to dance. I used to dance. What's that dance? This poem is called, Is This Your Sky or Mine? I try to quantify what we inherit. Dancers' legs that know how to roam, but be church pious by morning. The ability to fold shirts into a perfect square. With a street walk that says, I'm a willing dove, but need no man or pierced jewelry. I learned that when the grease bubbles, you put the fish in. Nail polish will stop a run in any stocking. Did you mean to build something that lasts? I want to give you a cinematic backstory, far from Southern charms and swamp boys, but I can't picture your shift from girl to woman, mind but not, strong but not. You tuck the girl in so the blood doesn't roll. You curl the feet like commas. The Bible spurs more questions, and that's my future. I've always been quietly wild, and I'm sorry for talking too fast, too much, but I'm trying to catch all the anchored parts of you. Rough magic, farm tales of double-yolked eggs, a collage of memories trapped in photo albums because you rarely cover old ground. I think every poem I write is about you, Mama. So I'm gonna do a cat call poem. Now, okay, now some cat calls are okay. Okay, you know it's true. Nice girl, nice smile, nice dress, those are pleasant. Other cat calls, you go too far. Okay? This poem is called Baby, what's your favorite body part? Baby, what's your favorite body part? A blue-collar man asks, with his mouth shaped like a preacher's. Gaze the size of wishes, and part of my rib cuts open. Something heavier than a sequoia tree settles in its place. Gone is the practice Josephine Baker had built. The imagined swagger of a bolero singer or a flamenco star. I hear, damn, like a buttered biscuit. I wish she breathed my, who knows how not to blossom. Be love aim lightning to a sweaty wrist. Kick like a dark flank. The family friend who hugs you just a little too tight. Those who say, mine when you are silent. I want these dancers' legs, who from a womb, to know when to speak. Run, be cocoa butter, shine and woman. I wish those men a hex, they can't breathe out. Adrenaline like arsenic, loose stool. A wraith of mothers named Caroline and Mary. A pot of sisters called Princess and Maya. Follow them home whenever it is dark. This poem is for those who've been to the gynecologist. Those stirrups are bullshit. So you know. This poem is called Dear Future Body. Keep your skin thick. Yesterday, my legs were propped in stirrups as the gyno said, you should go on The Biggest Loser. I heard cities at the skull base, stuttering over each other, vying in vowels of your roles and the garden under your chin. The implied real estate of, don't you want to be beautiful? We have known the trap. I'm nameless and hungry, BMI indexes. Dear God, in sample size fashion, I escape and get caught in the same geography again and again, unmade and remade. I forget I am more than a house of great bones, a Vaseline and Werther's originals. The capacity of a well-meaning, she has such a pretty face. I'm writing to tell you about a type of war. People carving the cavalry horses to survive, the outline of social media models, and how many calories is this bottle of air? What can we eliminate? I always thought the planet Pluto was a black girl, now downgraded and mostly out. Dear future body, take a break today. Tell me, how are your kisses? Sometimes they give birth to promises, a season in the word, oil and oxygen at the ready. Are you someone's night bloom? Remember to trace what remains, the prayers your mouth learns. I want us living, not just alive. Yeah, I'm gonna do a funny one, you guys. Okay, if you didn't know, Calm, the app Calm, has storytelling feature where celebrities will tell you bedtime stories. And one celebrity is Idris Elba. Now, unfortunately, he's still married. In your dreams, that don't matter. This poem is called My Calm App Lets Me Sleep with Idris Elba. 1. This is my best waste of time. Hearing a voice tell a tale about a jungle when I'm at the end of the world. I remember my right to breathe, that the body knows how to unfurl. Imagine its tongue could carve a castle out of a mountain. Dear manufactured calm, we get used to being rolled over. I got a face that's never at rest, but Idris's voice makes me want things. A brother to grow old with lines of smiles, a necklace of dry watermelon seeds, or a well-completed hand that calls a thigh goosebump birthday. 2. Some days it's easier to remember that even the devil needs someone to love. To find soft wounds in the edges, crooning words like a downward river, so we forget his hard hands at work. When I watched the TV show Bewitched, I thought, Dan must have had great dick. The James O. Jones of dick, the kind of dick where you're almost naked while wearing one sock and a head wrap. To make a woman hide herself, hide her dog like she's a knotted ball of hair, of sorries, and a nose full of questions. How can a man be unhappy when his woman is magic? I want to ask my mother this or my dead grandmother in the dream because I've heard her story second and third hand. 3. Idris is not talking about owls and ancient rock art like it's something sacred we reckon together. I believe him and I almost forget my day of basement apartment laundry, hauling my back, black boots, clothes, and a keychain of blue pepper spray. The maintenance man, nice man. Asks for my hand and body every time I see him. One day I think he'll say no to my no thank you. He'll want to break something. He'll want to sing to something that's broken, pry it without a key. Challenge echoes learn how to rescue themselves, so I keep my spray loose, swallow my spit, think I'm calm and Idris, crooked path to my cotton nightdress. I'm going to do two more poems. So I love the idea of testifying. I'm not a church person, but I love the idea of testifying with all you've seen, all you've experienced. So this poem is called B-Side Testimonials. I want to testify that the aunties were right. They were right about having a spare $40 tucked in the rattiest bra you own. To keep it there, months and no years in, just in case the broom goes sour, you gotta fly on the Greyhound for yourself or someone else. They're right about how onion bowl can save a half-priced hen. About Sunday parsley and paprika. Ask your man if and when he can taste either. I want to testify that sometimes you gotta do battle with your scalp, the reflection in the mirror, then your hair. Create a salve of lavender, peppermint, and red castor oil. Don't rub it in like it's something you gotta stain or colonize. Remember you're doing root work. Don't be afraid of the halo your head can make. Let it be a sonnet dark or bright as Van Gogh's Starry Nights, and yes, you all know Van Gogh. I want to testify that I want more poems about page balances and my cobalt x-rays of fibroids that look like honey glazed cakes. How our body learns to accept the mass incarceration, intrusion. I wish they were retractable gills or a coral storm gift for some fantastical purpose. I want to testify that there ain't no glory in being quiet and dignified. I want to testify that aging is a motherfucker. I want to testify that I am done with tasting elegies in my mouth. So that I think of the 79 moons of Saturn, give them proper names like Cletus, Chantal, and Ponyboy. I want to testify that my fortune has not been told. Despite the world courting my curves to an end, I see the future unfolding like an old school card catalog. Each card filled with dates, a shuffling of titles and days with lines pointing to all corners of the world, diagrams of humming blood relations, each card smelling like a recipe or a version of home. A poem about self-care. Care of yourself, today and tomorrow and all the days. Notes towards a poem on self-care. Start with decisions. Take a break from mirrors. Decide to stay in bed today and tomorrow. Count time only through midnight. Isn't there some voodoo about being the middle child of a middle child? You should Google that. Start humming to Broken Bones of Electrical Appliances. That old CD player? Yep, you can fix it. Take on do-it-yourself projects, face cream, shelves, a perfect guacamole, and a Home Alone arsenal just in case a Joe Pesci-like villain tries to arrive. Pretend the varnish brush is a staghorn. Who needs an app for calm? Be greedy about breathing. Be greedy about breathing. Be greedy about breathing. Avoid phone conversations and relate only through yes and no, text or emails. Hey baby, you be my melanin Marian? Yes. Does blank have a job? Oh no, girl. Is your brother, father, husband accounted for? Silence. Yes. If voice is required, realize that he, she, they can't be your son. Trust what you can hold in the hand. When we talk, the body vibrates. Aim for a dinosaur world when people least expect it. Enjoy words like Kilimanjaro and origami. Write odes to the do-rag. Songs to the Soul Train line where you dance in military choreographed precision. Fresh and so clean, outcast. Take a look, it's in a book. Reading Rainbow. Jolly Ranchers. Your mother's kitchen table. At any altitude, know that ink can hold the right kind of memory. Thanks, guys.
Cynthia Manick, human beings, please applaud again for the I don't know about y'all, but my body's full, my mind's full, my heart's full, everything. Thank you all so much for being here. Couple quick things. Books will be for sale in the back. Head on back there, get those purchased and signed. There is still wine, beer, water stuff for sale back there. Sign up for the mailing list if you're not already on it and just, I don't know, wandered past and came in or something. Or someone brought you, get yourself on the mailing list. Huge thanks to the folks who helped make this possible. February and Rena and Chris in the back. And of course, Paula. Yes, my goodness. Not underestimate what it's like to translate poems. Especially in the open mic where there's like no warning. That's all I'm saying. So. Enjoy the evening, make a new poetry friend, and we'll see you next month.